Today we are breaking down Chad Reuter's 4-round 2025 NFL mock draft. Let's get right into this. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. The first pick is Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. For me, this is a lock at this moment. It just doesn't seem like any of their moves have suggested otherwise. I originally thought since Harold Landry was going, it was going to be Abdul Carter, but the one-year deals and all of that, especially Kevin Zeitler, makes me feel very, very confident about Cam Ward. He's going to be a very solid player. I know that somebody had a disagreement about him being like worth a number one overall pick because number one overall pick should be, Hall of Fame ceiling. At the end of the day, not the best player always goes at number one. It's a player that should help out the franchise the most. And if Cam Ward is a damn good player who should be a starter in 5 to 10 years, then that is in the cards. You don't have to be a Hall of Fame player. Sometimes you just have to be the number one impact for the Titans at that pick. And I think Cam Ward is absolutely that. Today's video is sponsored by Bob and Brad, an amazing physical therapy company that has their special product today, the C2 Pro massage gun. This is a brand founded by renowned physical therapists, so they know exactly what they're doing. You guys know I'm a huge proponent for physical health, and Bob and Brad do an amazing job at making sure that when you work out and when you recover, you are at your best state. It is built with also a super special function, and that is this special tip right here. That is the heating and cooling tip for you guys to use for both performance and recovery. I used this before a throwing session as well, and it just made my throwing session a lot better because my muscles were already relaxed and they were already ready to go. It comes with 5 heads as well. It is 1.5 pounds, so it's not super bulky, and it is very, very silent. It has a nice LED display, and there have been over 1 million of these sold. Trust me, this is amazing. Again, with 5 different heads, you get to target every single part of your body. I've been able to use a lot of massage guns in my time. This is among the best that I've ever seen, and especially for the price point, I think it is the best for the value. And to make it even better, if you use the code BobBradC2, you get an additional 10% off. Check out the link in the description. At number 2, we have the Cleveland Browns going Abdul Carter. A lot of people talking about this as the pick that Shedeur Sanders should go. We'll obviously talk about that. In the title, it said 3 quarterbacks will go in the top 7, so I can almost guarantee you what's going to be at that next pick. But Abdul Carter, Myles Garrett are going to provide the most amount of benefit for the Browns in the long run, in my opinion. Giving Joe Tryon-Shoyinka that 1-year deal makes me think that the Browns are trying to look and experiment with that more athletic edge rusher position rather than the bigger, more physical styles that they have. And of course, the perfect combination of that in Myles Garrett. And as predicted, Shedeur Sanders goes at number 3 overall. The Giants going after Shedeur Sanders, I do think there's going to be a legitimate slip. This was before the second signing, I believe, of you also had Russell Wilson in that mix. But regardless, people are still locking Shedeur Sanders to the Giants, and I just don't think that's going to happen unless he ends up falling, which my biggest bold prediction, which is not a very likely one, is that the Giants go after Trav at number 3 and then trade up for Shedeur into the late 1. I just think that there's a legitimate possibility that that happens. I think that there's a lot of smoke keeping Shedeur Sanders very high on a lot of people's mock draft boards. Every year we end up seeing surprise players fall. For me, based on everything I hear, I do wonder if Shedeur is going to be that guy. Then the Patriots then go after Travis Hunter at number 4. I always think that Shedeur Sanders going at number 3, even in current mocks, is kind of a way to make number 4 pick a lot easier. And Travis Hunter is the best player, arguably, in the class in the right system. For me, he's moved up as the healthy player. He's my number 2 healthy player in the class. So that's a big asterisk there. But I still think that Travis Hunter is fantastic. In the right system, I think he's going to be a superstar. Number 5, you got the Jaguars going Mason Graham. You got the Braden Fisk connection of it all, basically a white young dude. Well, Braden Fisk was 24, Mason Graham much younger, but you basically get a younger, more athletic, higher potential version of Braden Fisk. Does that mean it will be as productive in the NFL? Of course, there's always that risk that it's not, but it just seems like there's going to be pretty much building upon Gladstone seeing what happened in LA, kind of building upon that and making it better there at number 5. Number 6, you got the Raiders going Ashton Jeanty. It's kind of the easy slot in pick at the moment. There was a picture of Ashton Jeanty with, I'm forgetting the name, but a particular Patriots player saying future teammates. That would be quite entertaining to see that happen, but Ashton Jeanty is a fantastic weapon. I would love to let Pete Carroll utilize Ashton Jeanty the way that he is supposed to be utilized. At number 7, the Jets go Jackson Dart. Again, feel free to check out my quarterback video if you guys would like, and you guys will know exactly what I think of Jackson Dart. I do not think that he is, he's much more QB7 than pick number 7. I'll put it there. I don't think the Jets are in a position where you should be spending a number 7 overall pick. Yeah, Justin Fields could easily end up being a backup quarterback for the price that you're paying for him, like a backup with upside. But, I mean, Jackson Dart, it's insane the amount of work that his agents are doing. At number 8, we got the Panthers going Jalen Walker. Whether you use him as a linebacker or whether you use him as an edge, for the Panthers, he ends up fitting like a glove, outside linebacker style. I think that he can end up being a true success there in Carolina. And, they've had great linebacker play for well over a decade at this point, and I don't see that changing with Jalen Walker. At number 9, the Saints go Will Johnson. Boundary corner play is certainly like, it's a need. And they went after Kool-Aid McKinstry. Will Johnson brings some similar physical assets to the table that Kool-Aid definitely brought from Alabama. Could see it definitely working out there with Will Johnson. I mean, you guys see where he's at on my board. That's why I leave it there. It's not predictive. It's not a predictive board at all. It's just the players that I love in the order that I love them. Of course, I do end up posting over on X, so you guys can feel free to follow me over there. The Bears go after Armand Membu, which... interesting idea. I don't think this is right. You're essentially going to have to bench him to cross-train him at left tackle unless you really want Braxton Jones to sit. I don't see this being a net positive move. There are a lot of really solid developmental left tackles in this class where you can get an instant impact at 10 and end up drafting your left tackle of the future at another spot. Number 11, the Niners go after Will Campbell. He technically moved up to 33-inch arms after this. Of course, that doesn't necessarily change the narrative. For me, 3/8 of an inch definitely can, it can make me feel more comfortable, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he still has pretty low percentile arm length, and it shows up on tape. He gets long-armed constantly, but the biggest issue for me wasn't necessarily that, because I do think that, particularly, tackles with shorter arms, I mean, I'm pretty sure Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell, both of them did not have, 36-inch arms or anything like that, and they've made it work, and they made it work very, very well. But for them, it's a technique thing, and I think Will Campbell can master that technique. I'm not necessarily overly concerned with arm length. What I am concerned with is the fact that he continues to lose his mental awareness, his spatial awareness of the pocket, to where he lets up a lot of inside moves. He's good when it goes around the hump of the pocket, or the bridge of the pocket, and doesn't allow players to get around the hump. That's cool. But consistently getting beaten up by inside moves, consistently losing to wide 9, that's what I'm really worried about, because that shows that he doesn't have the athleticism he showed at the combine for on the field. And maybe it's just a mental thing, but the NFL doesn't get any slower, right? You need to be able to speed up for the NFL. And if college edge rushers are continuously beating you to the inside, I do worry that the NFL edge rushers will continue doing the same, and then you add in the arm length on top of that. But for the Niners, they have issues at guard, tackle. You have the ability to utilize Campbell in the best possible scenario. I would not mind it. The Broncos then trade up to select Tyler Warren at number 12. I don't know I've actually projected this before. I don't know if you need to trade up necessarily to 12, but if you want to, do it. It's not uber expensive. The Cowboys can use more picks because they end up sending a 4th for Mingo. I can end up seeing this working out very positively for Denver's favor. At number 13, we have a trade up. The Cardinals move up for Kelvin Banks. I don't know why the Cardinals would feel necessarily threatened about Kelvin Banks going. And personally, if you're set on an offensive tackle, and I know a lot of people, especially guys who I trust, including Mike Renner, who just came on the show, the video before this, so check that out. Kelvin Banks is it's his top tackle, right? And actually two of the past 3 guys who came on the show ended up saying Kelvin Banks is their tackle 1. I would just think that, hey, it's a good idea, but Josh Simmons, if you really want to, might be there in the second, but at the very minimum will be there for his offensive line coach who is on your roster. If you're targeting tackle, I don't understand. You can save the picks and end up getting the guy that fits like a hand in glove. That's just a little bit interesting for me. 14, you got the Colts going Colston Loveland. A lot of people really love Colston Loveland. You can go a multitude of routes here. Tight end is a position of need for them, but I don't know if Colston Loveland's the type of tight end that necessarily fits a Steichen offense. I mean, you look for the Tyler Warren types that you can end up getting a well-rounded tight end. I'd rather see Terrence Ferguson in the second or third round. Well, not the second, but the third or beyond. And, see his fit rather than Colson Loveland's. At 15, the Falcons go Jahad Campbell. And Jahad Campbell, I think he would end up being an edge rusher on this team because I know Ulbrich likes his edge rushers to be standing up. And Jahad Campbell has a ton of potential there. I just haven't seen edge rushers properly develop with either Morris or Ulbrich, respectively. And I just would have a bit of a concern with Jahad being so raw in that aspect that he might end up being, it's a high risk factor for being a bust. Jahdae Barron at number 16 for the Dolphins. I mean, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily get it. So Barron joins second round pick. Okay, so they're gonna get Xavier Watts and Jahdae Barron, and they're trying to talk about Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Just gonna be honest, you probably don't want Jahdae on the boundary in the NFL. And the reason, well, you don't want him to be exclusively on the boundary, and this is talking about him could man the perimeter cornerback slot outside of Jalen Ramsey. I personally don't like it for the Dolphins. I don't. I'd prefer for them to get someone who's solely a boundary. Like the Dolphins are not a slot corner away from having the best secondary in the NFL. And technically the nickel, as much as valuable as it is, I do still think that, NFL teams will not value it at that rate. I worry about Jahdae's arm length and his overall play athleticism. I don't think it really adds up to what the testing numbers suggested. But he's still a very good corner. I mean, he's a top 40 player for me, which I know people are lower on him than that, but still. Bengals go Michael Williams. After talking with Mike Renner, again, feel free to go check out that mock draft that dropped literally on Saturday. This pick makes more and more sense. I don't trust the Bengals to develop edge, but this fits, like Michael is hand in glove for Al Golden, literally being a better version of RJ Oben, and it makes sense. I mean, you can't stop yourself as much as I want to urge the Bengals to stop themselves. You can't stop yourself from upgrading at edge. And I personally believe a lot in Myles Murphy still. I think that's going to be a big mistake, kind of giving up on him in that way. But, I mean, if you don't believe that he is the guy, if you believe that Myles was the dude and you're going to be taking someone like Michael Shamar here at 17, then I don't think you would have been aggressively pursuing Trey Hendrickson at the rate that you were. It's pretty obvious, and I think everybody else agrees. You can't let a sunk cost fallacy make you believe Myles Murphy's going to be something super special to the point where you legitimately pass on edge. Like, it's not realistic. It's what I want. Maybe it's a Steeler fan in me, but it's more the Myles Murphy fan in me. But I also understand that this makes a ton of sense. It's a great fit. Seahawks go Tetairoa McMillan at 18. You're losing DK, losing Lockett. It just makes a lot of sense. If he's there, that's just a reliable piece for Sam Darnold and the rest of the squad. At number 19, we got Tampa Bay going Shamar Stewart. Doesn't fit the edge rusher that they've shown that they want to have on the team. I could see this pretty much being Mike Green and maybe Donovan Ezeraku. At number 20, we got the Cowboys going Emeka Egbuka via that trade back. Honestly, I don't like it solely because of the fact that, I would have ended up, there's a lot of options you can go with here, but the route that I would have went if you're going to go receiver is Golden. Mecca's in the slot. I know Lamb can work inside and outside, but you're getting two guys who should be in the slot when you really do lack any sort of perimeter. And you have the option to solve that with a player who is nearly equally as talented as Emeka Egbuka. I have Emeka higher. I do have a top 30 receiver video out. You guys can go check that out. But Emeka is a very good player. If you do end up going with this route, you end up getting some extra picks and you end up getting a really good player, but I just think there might be a better move. Steelers go Amari Hampton at 21. It fits us too damn well for it to not happen. I'd be very happy with this outcome. I'm a huge fan of Amari Hampton. He's my RB16 at the start of the year. Chargers then go Donovan Ezeraku. This is a pick that I made in a recent mock draft. They need edge rusher. They do. And Ezeraku is the definition of a double. Just, you're not going to hit a home run with him, but you just solve the position with just some really, really good foundational traits. Packers get a deep threat in Matt Golden at 23. Not going to disagree with the idea of going after receiver here for the Packers. They should, but I just don't know if they will. Ended up doing it with Mike, and again, feel free to check that out. I know, shameless plug, right? But, I'm pretty proud of that video, not going to lie. But I ended up going after Luther Burden here at 23. Spoiler alert for you guys who wanted to go see that. But I ended up having a really good discussion with him. So Packers fans, you guys know Mike is a Packers fan as well. He ended up talking a lot more than just saying, this is the guy that I want to go with. So I will just say there was a reasoning behind it, and I kind of leaned into Mike's expertise over my own. 24, the Bills go Azareye'h Thomas. This was before he ended up running his 40, but I've seen mock drafts still with him going in the first. Azareye'h Thomas, someone who I have been a huge fan of since the preseason. Got to see him in person at SMU. Been rooting for him this whole time. My concern for him really ended up erupting, at the Senior Bowl when I got to see him doing a lot of the drills side by side with other corners. And I had issues with him getting out of his break, his acceleration out of his break. And then he ends up running a 4.55 to 4.6 40. And I still think that the top speed is there, but that acceleration out of the break, there's something that's off. And so I do worry about that. With Christian Benford also getting that contract, I still could end up seeing the Bills trying to fortify the boundary, but probably not there. The Texans then go Ariante Ursary at 25. Probably the right position, a little bit early for Ursary, but a lot of potential there. The Texans like to take their developmental dudes. The Eagles then move up with the Rams for Walter Nolan. Don't think they needed to do that. Honestly, there's going to be a lot of really good players. I don't think you need to end up moving up for Nolan, but it's a perfect fit there to replace Milton Williams. The Chiefs then go Tyler Booker at 27. Tyler Booker is just so rock solid, but again, you have Hunter Norzad. I would say that he should be, up there, but of course you have Kingsley Suamataia. I don't think they're going to be giving up on their second round pick by drafting a first round pick at 27. At number 20, especially for a trade up, by the way. At number 28, the Lions go Jonas Savania. He has shown nothing in the offseason to be worth a first-round pick, just going to be completely honest. During the regular season, I also was stuck in the idea that he's going to be higher potential than he is. I think he's a second-round pick. I don't think he'll be going in the first. At number 29, the Commanders go Mike Green. There are some off-field concerns. Do your own research, but Mike Green, talent-wise, in terms of athleticism and knowing how Dan Quinn maximizes edge rusher potential, I'm a big fan of that fit. At number 30, we got the Vikings going Nicky Manwari. You guys know me. I was talking about like the 5'3" in an attitude to 6'3" in a fucking beast. Love Nicky Manwari, man. He is literally graded as a demigod on my overall board. And that's a little bit facetious, obviously. I hope to God you guys don't think that that's actually what I'm grading him as. But it's true. This guy is a physical phenom. His biggest issue is versus the run, which, you might be like, hey, this is a safety. This is a big dude as well. But he plays a lot like a small, rangy free safety in the aspect that he has very solid coverage instincts. He has great ball skills, can return it to the house. But the thing is, he's really good in open field tackling. I just don't understand what his issue is versus the run. It's really intriguing. I've never seen something like it. But Nicky Manwari has the potential to be the best player in the class if he does end up refining the skills that I don't know if South Carolina really develops well. At number 31, the Ravens via trade back go Malachi Starks. They run a 3-safety set. Eric DeCosta does it again. Great pickup there. The Rams then get Isaiah Bond at... What the fuck, man? Really? Come on. Isaiah Bond at 32. That's very, very rich. This guy ended up losing his wide receiver 1 position to somebody that no one thought they would, who ended up going earlier than this, to be fair. But Isaiah Bond's not been healthy. He's not necessarily... I love Isaiah Bond, but... this doesn't do anything for the Rams either, right? It doesn't do anything in the short run. Basically, you're going to want him to get healthy. I could see this being a Rams pick, but not at 32. I don't get that personally. I think that's a bad pick overall. But of course, Chad Rutter is kind of used to that. The Browns then go Josh Connerly at 33. Really good pickup. They could use some extra offensive line help, and that's very good value with a young player with a big potential. Giants go Derek Harmon at 34. They need defensive interior help. I respect that. Good value for a young kid who some people have as high as 16 on their board. Tennessee Titans go Luther Burden. It's just a great spot to be in for the Titans because you can probably snipe a minimum of one of the following receivers. It's just a good spot to be in. The Jaguars then go Max Hairston at 36. I ended up breaking down in Matt Miller's 7-round mock draft the actual update to Hairston's off-the-field concerns. The case is closed, and so feel free to go do your research yourself. But, there were some things floating around, including from myself, about his overall off-the-field condition, and it looks like everything is checking off to be a good sign. So fingers crossed about that one. Jaguars get themselves a highly athletic boundary corner with a lot of experience in the SEC. Vegas Raiders go Trey Amos at 37, another big physical SEC corner. Big fan of Trey Amos running a 4.43 as well. Was honestly not on my radar, but it was very, very pleasant. So, pleasant surprise. Patriots and snipe Josh Simmons at 38. Best case scenario that he ends up falling to this point. There's some off-the-field concerns, but this comes from one person saying one quote. Has not been reciprocated, if I'm not mistaken, by anybody. And Ohio State seemed pretty damn desperate to bring him back. I highly doubt they'd do that if he was that much of a cancer. Number 39, the Bears go JT Tuimoloau. Very high floor player. I don't know why JT's getting the type of hate that he does, but you know what? Let prospect fatigue end up gifting a team one of the best players in the class, pound for pound. New Orleans Saints go Gray Zabel at 40. I'd totally respect this move. The offensive line is far from solidified, and Gray Zabel is a damn good player. I'm a big fan of that. The Bears then go Mason Taylor at 41. Do not see this being a positive move at all. I mean, to be fair, I remember that I think he ended up going with Carolina drafting a tight end early, like in the second round, like a year ago, and it got me all fired up. They ended up, I believe, drafting one in the early fourth, so it's probably on the Bears' radar, but I'm just going to be honest. Mason Taylor is not going to upgrade the Bears in the short run. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. So I think that's a bad pick, especially with Kenneth Grant on the board. You send him to New York. That's a great fit right there as well, because Tyleik Williams kind of the less athletic, higher floor version, in my opinion, of Kenneth Grant. But the Jets end up getting themselves a good one. Same thing with the Niners. I think defensive interior is very weak for them compared to what we kind of think. The Niners are, re-scrapping their team and kind of rebuilding from scratch, and Tyleik Williams is going to be a great piece to have for the next 4 years. Cowboys then go Trey Henderson at 44. Home run hitter, Ohio State. I love that combination. 45, you got the Colts going Jack Sawyer. After his arm length came in super short, I can't really see that happening, but I do like the idea of going after edge. And this is a high floor player. I can end up seeing them still going after someone like Femi Oladejo, who can end up pairing back up with his former UCLA teammate there in Leatu Latu. Falcons to go Jared Wilson. Losing Drew Dahlman, it could end up making sense to go right to Georgia and ending up getting your guy. But at 46, with the amount of picks that they have, or the lack thereof, seems like a bit of a reach and something that I would not recommend. At number 47, the Cardinals go Jalen Knoll. This is the second mock draft in a row that I've seen Jalen Knoll here to the Cardinals. Maybe that's some inside information that a couple of the guys have. I honestly like the fit quite a bit. He's a solid receiver who's aggressive. He's a feisty dude. I have him a little bit more into that third round range, but for the Cardinals, it's a damn good fit. I wouldn't mind it in the second. At 48, the Dolphins, we as spoiled before, go Xavier Watts. I just don't, you drafted two low value positions essentially, because I can't trust Jade to play the boundary as much, but you drafted two low value positions for a team that I don't necessarily trust is in a position to draft low value positions. At number 49, we got the Bengals going Donovan Jackson. Really, really good pickup. The guards need help like it's nobody's business, and Donovan Jackson is a great, great pickup there. Also, some tackle versatility based on the end of this year. 50, the Seahawks go Quinn Ewers. What's up with this Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart need to really up their payments to their agents if this ends up working out, because nothing on the field says that these guys are worth remotely close to where they're being selected right now. I mean, Quinn Ewers is unhealthy as all get out. I mean, the dude gets injured every single year, and the dude just makes horrible decisions, doesn't step up when, it matters the most. I mean, I was the biggest Quinn fan. I'm an Ohio State fan by heart. My family has some Buckeyes in it, right? And I was rooting for Quinn Ewers from day one, over Stroud of all people too. So you just gotta, I remember that was I think it was CJ's first game of his second year. He was really struggling. I think I said put Quinn in, right? So I mean, I'm rooting for this kid from the beginning, and he's just consistently pissed me off. So I'm all out on Quinn Ewers pretty much unless he goes to the right system. I don't think Kubiak can make it work, but man, at 50 with the offensive line in ruins, we'll see what he does with the next two rounds. Cowboys go Alfred Collins via this trade with the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos should send a second to move up for a tight end. I'll just be honest there. But getting a big nose, I mean, it's a high floor player. It's nothing that's going to be the end of the world. Seahawks go Charles Grant at 52. This is how you solve the guard situation or the tackle situation. Man, a big project, man. That's I'm not a fan of that at all. Buccaneers go Savon Rivell Jr. You're getting good value there. I mean, he's a high ceiling player at a high value position. I'm not necessarily fully sold on him. I have him as a third round player, but I mean, hell, this guy has a ton of untapped potential, and I could totally see it working out for y'all. At 54, the Packers go Nick Scorton. Nick Scorton is my number 4 edge. Like, I love him to death. Great player. 54 makes a lot of sense. You might as well not pass on him. At 55, the Chargers go Quinshon Judkins. Perfect fit. Feels very similar to Najee Harris in that aspect. So I'm gonna fuck with it. I'll just put it that way. At number 56, the Bills go Kevin Winston Jr. And it's a great fit. Obviously, you look at him in Pennsylvania. He's used to the cold weather. Makes a lot of sense. Number 57, the Panthers go Jaden Higgins. You get your big X right there next to Xavier Leggett. I mean, that's a lot of height in your receiving core with Jalen Coker as well. I mean, you're getting a lot of young guys that are going to be size and athletic mismatches, and that's a really good place to be. Jaden Higgins, my number 3 wide receiver in the class. At number 58, you got the Texans going Josh Farmer. And Josh Farmer hasn't tested out like he kind of shows on tape, which I'd prefer for you to test worse than you look, arguably, than look really unathletic and then just become athletic. Like, I'll just say that. Unless it's because of like a poor diet and everything. And I follow Josh. I got to meet Josh's brother in Mobile, both of his brothers for that matter. And I mean, I see what they eat because my guy likes to post it. All right. So, I mean, the guys are eating good, but they're actually eating pretty damn healthy foods like steaks and stuff. So I don't see them eating a bunch of junk food. I think that, so I'm quite surprised that it ended up going out like that, but I just don't think that this is the range for Josh. Cam Williams goes at 59. Again, just like doesn't make much sense. He's young, not necessarily healthy, and then proved to be a liability. A ton of upside there, but like that's a 3rd round thing to do. At number 60, the Lions go James Pierce. He slips because of coaching concerns, not because of talent. Feel free to watch his interviews. There's something a little bit off about the guy, and you guys know me. I had him as my number 2 player the whole year, so I'm as biased as anybody else for James Pierce. But there's just something that, I mean, I just don't know because, I mean, I've only been doing this since 2020, and I've been like hardcore doing this since 2022. Like, I haven't seen enough cases like James Pierce to know how much I should value it. I'll just be completely frank there. So I hope that, you guys understand that I'm still working that out. And I'm saying that, the NFL seems to really care about this. I don't know if I care as much, but I had dropped him according to what I believe he should be dropped. So I still think that he is a top 15 player of the class, even with those concerns. At number 61, the Commanders go Darian Porter. Fantastic boundary corner with a ton of potential because he is so new at the position. Take a shot every time I say a ton of potential. But, I mean, it's true. He is 1 year of true starting experience. Former receiver, 24 years old. He's old, but he's still new. It's kind of a weird situation to be in, but he's also a really good special teamer. This feels a very like Washington Commanders level draft. The Bills ended up going Xavier Restrepo. This was before I believe he ran his 4.8 40. But even before that, Restrepo was never worth this. I mean, it was, I don't understand it. And I'm a big fan of Restrepo because I think he's just the definition of consistency. He's not worth that. Chiefs go Femi Oladejo. Doesn't fit what Spags usually goes for in an edge rusher, but high-level run defender, former linebacker as well. I don't think this is the situation he should be put into. Eagles then go Jaden Blue at 64, top 30 visit. I mean, he ended up boosting up, I believe, into the 4.2s with his pro day time. So good to see that he has that because his tape didn't show 4.4. It showed 4.3 to 4.2. And it's good to see that he was able to do that. Just fix the fumbles, man. I mean, it's egregious at this point. Then we're going on to round 3. Marcus Bowe goes to the Giants. Love that tackle guard flexibility there. Even though his arms are 32 inches, he still can end up working out as a tackle if you need him to. At number 66, we got the Chiefs going Darius Alexander. He's older, but his talent is a first rounder. You end up sniping that at 66. I'm not going to be one to complain. At 67, the Browns go Caleb Johnson. And high power back, big workload. You have a lot of carries to be able to be given around, and it helps out whatever quarterback you're going to have on your roster. Good pickup there. Raiders go Jalen Milroe at 68. So just tell me this, guys. Tell me this. What's better value? Jalen Milroe at 68 or Jackson Dart at 7? The answer should have instantly popped into your head. It's like, okay, you go Jalen Milroe here at 68. And I know the Jets don't have this type of pick, but you get what I'm saying. The value for like certain quarterbacks should not be overinflated because quarterback, if you end up hitting on it, it makes sense. But the percentage chance that Jackson Dart is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, which to me, top 15 is where you are completely safe from replacement. And of course, that fluctuates with the group of guys, right? If the whole entire NFL lacked quarterbacks, it'd be top 10. If the NFL was overloaded with elite quarterbacks, it'd be top 20, right? But you guys get what I'm saying. The probability that Jackson Dart gets to that level is very, very low. And if you have a low probability player of being one of those irreplaceable quarterbacks, you don't have any use for him if he is a backup, unless you have an injury-prone quarterback that comes on the board. Like, let's just say, Quinn Ewers somehow went in a time machine, went back in the past and became a superstar, right? And, he's 26 right now. And it's like, okay, well, we know, or I guess I could just say Tua, but it's like, injury-prone quarterback. That's where it's like, okay, well, at least there's some utility to my backup quarterback. But if you have an elite starting quarterback, you only get that use if they are a backup. So that's my bottom line. It's like you're going to be able to make sense of the value of a Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, Jackson Dart in the third round, maybe the second. I mean, if you really, really need to have that insurance policy, but third round's where I start feeling comfortable with players like that. To New England Patriots, go Trey Harris at 69. It's a nice pick, as nice as the number is. I mean, he's just like high floor. He's a high floor player. He's a fun player to watch. Hopefully he is 100% healthy. Jaguars go Landon Jackson at 70. I mean, Landon is another one of those floor raisers kind of dudes. I mean, great athlete for his size, obviously tested out very well. He overcomplicates the game, but that feels like something that I'd much rather have somebody who overcomplicates the game to the point where, maybe they just got bored with being simplistic and I can dial it back, than have someone who doesn't have any sort of creativity, because you need creativity to last in the NFL. I've never been one to be in favor of Landon Jackson at that level. He is somebody who's going to be a little bit of an early day 3 guy to me, but I mean, overall, I'm perfectly happy with the team taking him in the third, because I do think if you use him as an edge 4, which is kind of where he's at right now, that's where I feel comfortable with him learning and growing and developing that aspect to where in the long run, I think he'd end up being a lot better than what I think of him right now. Jordan Burch is a fantastic player here at 71 to the Saints. I think that this guy is super underrated. Don't sleep on him. Interior, exterior versatility, but he can definitely play on the outside. Just one of those guys that doesn't get enough love at all. At number 72, the Bears go Carson Schwezinger, former high school alumni of Oaks Christian as myself. Really, really good linebacker there. The problem with Schwezinger is that I've seen him fluctuate in weight too much this offseason, getting up to like the 240s, fluctuating from 225. It's all over the place. So I want to see, hey, what are you going to play at? What type of athlete are you at that size? Because I really thought, when he was 225, I'm like, dude, this guy's going to be an elite. Like, I'm not an elite. Okay, let's tone it back a bit. But I was going to say, like, you are a day 2 box linebacker or box safety. Like, you could end up being like a JOK type, or you could end up being like almost Kyle Hamilton-esque. But I don't see it for the Bears. I don't understand. But like for pure linebacker, man, I mean, Carson's best value was his overall athleticism. I mean, that was pretty damn clear off the bat. Everybody's talking about how great of an athlete this kid is. And so that's where I want him to be, is that box safety, kind of be a Lathan Ransom type if you guys want to go for this class specifically, and be super high ceiling. I don't think that role is even open on the Bears, so I do see the potential of success being lower because there's not enough avenues for him to succeed. My number 1 receiver in the class, Jack Besh, goes at 73. A lot of people call me out on it, and that's okay. I mean, being honest doesn't have very many perks in the media world. It happens. And if you guys want to start your shows, it's going to be daunting because you're going to have honest takes, and you're going to have wrong honest takes as well. And even when you're right, you're going to be told how stupid you are every single time. But continue doing it, because over time, certain people are going to say, hey, you were right about X, Y, Z. And the only way that you're going to get more and more and more right is if you're honest with yourself and say, I love this guy. This is like where I would take him outside of the influence of what actually should happen. And if you get it wrong, you learn from your mistakes, right? If you get it right, you learn from your successes and you get better and better and better. And that's what my plan is. For me, Jack Besh ended up like, and I'm an SMU alum. I freaking hate TCU with a passion. Like, I genuinely hate the Horned Frogs, and I honestly don't like his compatriot there in Savion Williams. So I had something really out against Jack Besh. This guy is impressive in every aspect of his game. I think this guy's going to be a superstar. Jets get themselves a great one there. 74, the Panthers go Anthony Belton. Incredible value for him to play on the interior of the offensive line as well. Just somebody who is going to be an insurance policy for tackle, but also an extreme asset for guard. 75, the Niners go Ben Morrison. The only way he slips here is if the NFL is truly concerned about his hip. Heard that it seems to be pretty damn good, so, TBD on that. But when healthy, he's my number 3 player in the class. Number 76, the Cowboys go Seth McLaughlin. Would make no sense. The Cowboys don't reach on interior offensive linemen from, all the times that I remember. I always have supported their interior offensive line moves. This is not one of them. Actually, Seth is the ex-boyfriend of someone who I used to go to college with. So maybe there's some of that in there, but I just don't think Seth is remotely close to a day 2 player. But New England Patriots go Trevor Etienne. He shined in Mobile. He was playing hurt a lot of the year. He was my RB1 coming into the year as well. I don't mind him being here on day 2. I actually have him graded very similarly. 78, the Dolphins go Elijah Arroyo. If his knee checks out, this is an incredible move because I think he fits what the Dolphins should be going for in that vertical offense. And number 79, the Texans go Shamar James. Did not test remotely close enough to be here. And of course, it's not going to happen now that you guys ended up bringing EJ Speed, but even before that would not make any sense. Tate Ratledge goes to the Colts at 80. Really high floor guard. This team needs some high floor talents there. A lot of, we got Matt Gonsalves. You also have Tanner Bordolini. Then you can have Tate Ratledge as well in that rotation there. I like good competition because unfortunately, you're bound to probably have one of those guys not be worth starting. And at least in this situation, you can mitigate that with having more than, the minimum quantity of dudes there. Cincinnati goes TJ Sanders at 81. Doesn't make very much sense. They already have 4 defensive interiors on roster. To spend at pick 81 on it, you'd really have to be getting a great deal. I don't know if TJ Sanders is necessarily that great of a deal. It's a good deal, but I don't know if it's that great of a deal. Seahawks then go Terrence Ferguson at 82. I really like this fit. He's just this is the perfect range for Terrence Ferguson after his testing and everything. At 83, the Steelers go Tyler Shuck. His age, honestly, it almost is an asset to the Steelers because you can end up justifying going after another quarterback next year because the ceiling's capped. I like them taking a swing in round 3 for quarterback. I don't mind it at all. Tyler Shuck, he's made of glass. He makes some dumbass decisions, but holistically, he has a lot to offer. So I like what he could bring to Pittsburgh. At 84, the Buccaneers go Lathan Ransom. Continue getting good defensive backs. That's the way to make it rock there in Tampa Bay. At 85, we got the Broncos going Princely Umamielen. Very good value for a high floor player. I kind of crapped on him a little bit, but this is a perfect range for him to go. At 86, the Chargers go Aeneas Peebles. Really, really good player. Did not expect him to go this high. Of course, there's going to be players that surprise us, and Aeneas Peebles could be a surprise in terms of going higher than expected. 87, you got the Green Bay Packers going Noel Williams. I think it's a perfect fit for Jeff Hafley. I don't know about it at 87, but I certainly think in round 4 and beyond, that's an excellent fit. Jaguars go Marcus Siegel here at number 88. Please feel free to correct me if I'm saying that wrong. It might be Siegel, but I thought it was Siegel from those who talked to me about it. Regardless, I did not see him popping off as a day 2 safety. Just going to be honest there, but defensive back, good position for the Jaguars to continue throwing darts at. 89, you got the Texans going Savion Williams. Anything to help out the receiving core. I already said earlier, not a big fan of Savion Williams overall. The Rams end up going Quincy Riley at number 90. He's a little bit older, but honestly, one of the better defensive backs for what people say. I think he's extremely underrated. If he goes at pick 90, I'm not going to complain. 91, the Ravens go Jeffrey Bossa. Personally, I think Jeffrey should transition back to safety. I really, really, really like him in coverage, but his run defense is just so bad. He's like a really solid athlete as well. He just feels like a safety that they put at linebacker there in Oregon. And it sucks because Jeffrey Bossa was someone that I was highlighting as someone I really liked. And he got up to 21 miles per hour trying to chase down Tez Johnson, but there's just something about Jeffrey's tape that bothers me. There's something small about it. Chandler Martin goes at 92 to the Seahawks. Honestly, Chandler Martin's a good player. I didn't see day 2 with him, but I could definitely see him being a surprise player in there. Saints end up sticking to an LSU kid here in Emory Jones Jr. I don't mind continuing to upgrade the offensive line. Also has that guard versatility, and you end up pairing him up now with Gray Zabel. At 94, you got Cleveland Browns going Tez. Tez, in terms of the drills, did better than anything. I honestly valued the drill speed more than the 40 and everything, even though he was extremely underwhelming there. The problem is the size in the AFC North. I would not take someone that small. Jalen Smith ends up sneaking into the 3rd round here for the Baltimore Ravens. That is correct. He is my number 13 player on my board. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Smith. I think that he's a superstar. He's not going to go until the 3rd or 4th round, but I'm going to hitch my wagon to him until I see where he goes. If he goes to a spot where I don't like it, I think that he has a high bust factor. But, this kid has superstar potential. For me, this time last year, it was Andrew Phillips. To me, this year, it's going to be Jalen Smith. I think this guy's ludicrously underrated. And he has good run defense as well. Rams then go Rondé Gadsden at 96. He's a really good tight end. I ended up being ran into him here in Dallas during the Shrine Bowl. So, this dude is pure muscle. He's a very good player. He was a very big mismatch here in Dallas at the Shrine. 97, the Vikings go Denzel Burke. Really good value for a player with 1st-round potential. 98, the Dolphins go Deone Walker. Saying again, high potential player, didn't live up to it this year. You end up getting that at the end of the 3rd, hoping that you get the guy that you knew coming into the year was there. Giants go after Kyle Kennard at 99. Very good value for Kyle Kennard, who is very productive in the SEC. Number 100, the Niners go Dylan Sampson. Niners like to spend day 2 picks, especially 3rd rounders, on running backs. This makes a lot of sense. So could end up seeing it happening for him. At 101, we have the Rams going Danny Stutzman. Danny Stutzman's the most underrated linebacker in the class. He'll be out in a day 3 sleeper video very, very soon. 102, the Detroit Lions go after Jalen Rolls. Jalen Rolls, good after the catch. Very, very misutilized there at Utah State. I'm extremely excited for him to make the most of it. So here in round number 4, let's start out with the Tennessee Titans. Taking Fadil Diggs at 103. Honestly, Fadil Diggs was pretty productive. Solid pressure rate for, somebody that you're going to be getting on day 3. He tested out well as well. Honestly, I think Fadil Diggs at 103 might be a little rich, but again, you're on day 3. I think it's fine. Kyle McCord to the Browns at 104 is incredible. He might be the best thrower of the football in the class, pinpoint accurate. And it's so good to see him take a step up after having a realization moment coming from Ohio State. He ended up doing a very good job this year, but outside of his offense, there was very little creativity. And, when the play broke down and he had to make plays on his own, I did not see that there, which in the 4th round is still incredible value. Eli Maynard goes at 105 to the Giants. If he slips here, it's just going to be insane value. I think he's someone who should go more in the 1st than even the 3rd round. But Io Maynard is just the definition of reliable. As reliable as a Stanford wide receiver can get nowadays. So if you get him at 105, man, that's just great. I believe he's my wide receiver 9, just really, really good. He might be my wide receiver 8 or 7 off the top of my head, but I have a lot of guys in a very, very tight group there. New England Patriots go after Tyler Beatty at 106. Could totally see this happening, by the way. Tyler Beatty, got to meet him in Dallas, got to interview him as well. I actually have the interview, but, maybe one of these days, if you guys really want to see it, I might post it after the draft and then just kind of have that be, attached to something like maybe a New England Patriots. Actually, that's such a really good idea. I could end up saying reviewing the Patriots draft and then end up tying in the Tyler Beatty interview after that. But I digress. Ended up coming with that on the spot. It's kind of hype. But regardless, really good dude and very, very productive for at the Shrine Bowl. I think he is honestly a very good selection on day 3. I don't know if I would take him at 106, but again, day 3, there's going to be dart throws all over the place. Jaguars go Harold Fannin at 107. That would be an incredible move. Obviously, one of the most, if not the most productive tight end season in college football history. Number 108, we got the Vegas Raiders going Jamon Dumas Johnson. It's a little early for him, but again, this is day 3. I'm just going to continue reemphasizing that. Really solid linebacker, formerly Georgia as well. He's someone who could end up being a legit alpha on a defense. I think the chances are low, but there's still a chance. Vikings go Mitchell Evans at 109. Don't see this being really worth your selection. There's a lot of good running backs still on the board. Number 110, the Jets end up getting their right tackle, Ozzie Trapilo. He's my number 1 tackle in the class. He's sitting there at number 19 overall on my board. And again, that includes guys who had season-ending injuries above him. So, he's even higher than that in terms of healthy players. And Ozzie Trapilo, I don't understand what's up with the hate on this guy. He is fantastic, and the Jets end up sniping their right tackle of the future. At number 111, we got the Panthers going at Jacob Parrish. Jacob Parrish is a feisty corner. I'm probably going to be in the slot based on his height, but if you could end up really finding a good role for him, I think he can end up being a superstar. Saints end up getting their athletic running back here in RJ Harvey, extremely explosive. Maybe the top end speed not there, but RJ Harvey loves to bounce it and take it and like try to do home run hitting. And his athleticism overall in terms of his explosiveness, not top speed, definitely allow him to do that. 112, worth the swing. Niners end up going Dante Thornton Jr. at 113. Very few players end up having the athletic profile that Dante Thornton Jr. has. And so I'm excited to see where he ends up going. He's about this range on my board. Number 114, the Panthers go Andrew Makuba. Had a fantastic year. He's probably around the same range as well on my board and around that early day 3 range. He's a good player. Again, I'm debating doing a DBs video. I just know it won't perform remotely well enough in order to do that. I'd prefer to just kind of talk about him here, unless you guys are really, really desperate for the DBs video, but we'll see about that. At 115, the Cardinals go Kobe Bryant. He's just small. Again, like another small corner in this small corner core. I want someone a little bit more big and imposing. At number 116, you got the Dolphins going Dylan Gabriel. It kind of feels like a more agile Tua. So good value for that backup QB there. 117, the Colts go Barrett Carter. Need a linebacker? Honestly, pretty damn solid fit. At 118, you got the Falcons going Jonas Sanker. Jonas Sanker is a top 100 player for me. I do think that he doesn't play at the speed he ran. He plays a lot slower, but pretty much everything else checks out about his game. So maybe just got a lot more athletic in the offseason. Some guys just don't train as well during the season for athleticism and in college. And maybe he just ended up learning how to access the rest of the athleticism there. TBD on that, but that's a good pickup there for the Falcons. Bengals go Jalen Rivers at 119. I think honestly he'd be more of a guard, and you can end up having Donovan Jackson be the long-term tackle there. Jalen Rivers, 35-inch arms as well. Just kind of he's more of like a battleship type. He just sticks in place and stays there. Bilal Cohn goes to the Titans at 120. Another kind of slot guy. I feel like this is just a worse version of Jarvis Brownlee. And so I don't really see it being a needle mover. Buccaneers snipe Wyatt Milam. He's somebody who, I don't know why he's slipping at this rate, but maybe there's some off-the-field stuff I don't know about, but Wyatt Milam should be a day 2 pick. Number 122, the Broncos go Cam Scatterbo. The only reason he'd slip here is because of people worried about his top-end athleticism and the fumbling as well. Dolphins end up sniping a great one here in Cam. Steelers go Josiah Stewart at 123. Could totally see this being a great reclamation project for Josiah based on he should be going higher. He ends up slipping, and then he could end up being this is my motivation. And you end up pairing him with the quantity of great edge rushers there in Pittsburgh. It could end up being a mitigation factor in case we end up not paying TJ Watt, which I personally think might be a mistake. And number 124, the Packers go Omar Norman Lott. Packers snipe always on day 3, so this is right on cue for them. This is right on par. Omar Norman Lott is someone who I think should be a round 2 pick. And crazy athlete, but also very, very, very limited in terms of his run defense. Chargers going Jalen Lane. I already know that someone's going to be going ballistic in the comment section, but Jalen Lane's a very solid receiver. At 125, I think the value's, it's fine. He's a fun receiver. Very explosive, good tester. Jacksonville Jaguars go Ty Felton at 126. He is a very good receiver. It's kind of surprising to see how much people hate Ty Felton, but, this is perfect range to be able to get someone who I think honestly has some of the fat aspects that Brian Thomas has, just maybe at a lower level. At number 127, the Rams go Jordan Phillips. Good to get another nose in there. But they ended up bringing Poona Ford. I feel like that's the same role as Jordan Phillips. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have more defensive talent. Commanders go Cody Simon. Don't know if he's going to be worth a 4th-round pick, but I like the idea of continuing to build upon that linebacking core. Baltimore Ravens go David Walker. It would be good to see where he ends up stacking up with his arm and everything. He might have to be kicked more of a Calais Campbell role, but this dude's extremely productive, and we'll see how it ends up working out. Jason Marshall goes to the Lions at 130. I think he's criminally underrated. He was actually really, really smart in terms of zone IQ, but season-ending injury didn't test out all that well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if the Lions need to necessarily go that route, but if they do, they're getting a solid player there. New Orleans Saints go Isaiah Nair at 131. It's a bit high for me, even though he did a good job there at the Shrine Bowl, but could see that happening later day 3. Vikings go Josh Gray at 132. Not worth it in my opinion, but honestly, I mean, he's probably not going to be doing too much there for the Vikings. I don't think he'd be starting. Then Jalen Travis goes to the Chiefs at 133. I like that. Good arm length, good flashes there at the Senior Bowl. Just, I mean, a day 3 tackle. Eagles then go Odinell Fortune at 134. I definitely think they should be trying to target some boundary corner in this draft. So I'm not mad about that at all. Going after boundary players is never a bad idea for the Eagles after what's happened to their corner core in terms of its recomp. At 135, the Cardinals go Junior Tafuna. Tafuna is very underrated. Good to see Chad Reuter put him in this. I actually think that'd be a good pickup for the Cardinals, even at 135. Bishol Tutin goes to the Chiefs at 136. Bad fumbling issues. They tested out like a freak, but he's a day 3 back. It's good to see him here on day 3 instead of day 2. Then the Seahawks go Drew Kendall at 137. Drew Kendall is very versatile. I don't think that he's worth an early day 3 pick, but still, I mean, I respect the pursuit of offensive line. And then ending this off, we've got Nick Martin to the Niners. This is a perfect player to fit right where you lost Greenlaw, but also another player based on his size and everything probably should be going closer to the 7th than the 4th. I still respect it nonetheless. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the far side.